1 minute.
Yes.
It's on, right there.
Good afternoon. Today's Tuesday, August the 13th, 2019, and I'm calling the Golf Course Advisory Board City of Pharr to order. Go to item A, roll call. Myra, please.
Artemio Palacios,
Here.
George Gonzalez,
Here.
Javier Martinez, Rudy Martinez,
Here.
Jaime Villarreal,
Here.
Javier Garcia,
Here.
Mario Liscano, Oscar Villagomez,
Here.
Juan Willingham.
Here.
I need a motion to excuse or not excuse. Call.
I so move, Mr. Chairman, to excuse Martinez.
Okay,
and-
we have a motion on the floor, but
Second.
Member Bernardo, second by Member
Yeah.
Willingham. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Nobody. Okay, approved. Okay, item 2, we go into administrative. A, approve the minute for July the 9th, 2019, regular call meeting.
Bueno, nomás yo hablo.
You get a chance to read the minutes for the July the 9th. Need a motion?
Mr. Chairman, you need a motion to approve the minutes.
Do you move? Member
Well,
Villarreal?
obviously, because nobody else is moving.
Okay, so I need one.
I
Thank you,
second.
Member Villarreal.
I second
And
it.
the second by Oscarito. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, that leaves it up to you.
All against, nobody. Okay, approved. B, consideration and action, if any, on revenue and expenditure report for the month of June 2019. Mike? Por favor.
Good evening, gentlemen. The revenue and expenditure summary report for the month of June. Revenues at $50,754.29. Going against expenditures, $115,584 and a few cents. Showing a variance of $64,829.75. Special note should be taken that compared to June of last year, we improved by roughly $12,000 in revenue, and expenditures went up by $6,000. So we actually had a better month compared to June of last year. Of 64, a difference of about $6,000. We're going over into the food and beverage operation. The food and beverage operation, beer revenue, $2,078.90 profit. Food revenue, $3,778.31 profit for the month of June. Payroll costs relatively remain the same at $5,452. So once we figure in the results for the total beer revenue and the total food revenue and take out the cost associated with each, including the payroll, we get approximate total revenue for the year of $2,462.15. To the good. Special note should be taken, gentlemen, going back into the revenue expenditure report. On the expense side, supplies was basically down $4,000 for the month of June, and maintenance was down $3,000 also for the month of June compared to June of last year. along, once you figure in the decline of other services, so on, that was in there, very minimal at just under $1,000, and then make up for the rest of it. So, again, the variance about $6,000.
Any questions now from the board on the financial report and expenditure? Questions?
No, sir.
Rudy? Yep.
Good.
You okay?
Yeah.
Or you, we have time, you wanna check it out?
No, I'm good. I'm taking
You okay?
something else. Yeah, I'm waiting for
Okay.
something else.
You need a motion?
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, a motion to approve, to accept the revenue and expenditure report by Member Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Oscarito. Any questions? Discussion? Not, all in favor? Aye. Against? Action would be to approve. C, item C, status report on golf course operation for the month of August. It's for the month of August.
All right, yeah, for the month of August.
You know,
To today, probably, right?
Pretty close.
I was thinking, I thought it would be part of June.
Well,
Yes.
Well, most of this is wrapped up, most of
But
it for
it's just
June,
in
July, since we
operations,
didn't have
so-
a meeting there, most of the stuff, some of the stuff that I was gonna go over in July just carried over into this month. So, to discuss as far as the golf course operation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
would it be, all right if we stop, the report when we get to a certain area and ask some questions, or do we wait for the entire report to be read and?
I can go over however y'all wanna do that, if, once I go over something, if you have some questions on it.
Can
then
we stop you and?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's better to that, when you're in the spot, otherwise you might forget it, or, you know, I don't know why I asked, but I know.
Yeah.
All
right.
Okay. First item up on the list, gentlemen, is having to do with the greens. We ordered another round of soil samples for the greens to see what direction we need to go according to our greens plan, because of the last 3 months with us being on that greens program, the greens have come around quite substantially, and it's been very rewarding. So we want to see what we have to do next in order to get through the end of the year. We are continuing to enlarge the greens close to what the original design was, due to the fact that a lot of these greens have shrunk over time. And so we're working on getting them back to their original size. Along with that, you notice that there are still small clumps of nut grass that are out there along the borders that have not been treated. All that will be sprayed by a herbicide, and then the Bermuda will come in, and Bermuda will come in behind that. So it'll look better than what it is now, because you can see that it's somewhat scalped, so on, and that just comes with time. But the Bermuda grass will encroach, and we will get the greens back to we will get the greens back to their original size and puttability.
I know when they got you mulching it or what? Can they mulch the grass?
No, what we're gonna do is, all we do is basically, use a greens mower that we currently have, and we do what we call is a cleanup cut. And we keep pushing that cleanup cut further out to where we can kind of tell where the barriers, the wicking barrier, that's at the perimeter of the greens. So we kind of push that out, and then we detail it accordingly.
Thank you.
And make sure that it just takes time for the grass to grow in. And what happens over time, because we are cutting back, we're gonna say natural grass, call it mutant grass, call it whatever you will, we still have to come in there and spray a herbicide to get rid of the nut grass, to get the greens, to get the green composition, we'll say, back to 95% of the green. So, and that's kind of why you're seeing the outskirts of it look the way it does. So it's just a matter of, we're scalping it right now because that used to be fringe, but it'll grow back in.
It's looking good, too. It's growing out really well.
And that partly has to do with the program that we have on the greens, so on, the foliar that we're using to help germinate the grass, so on, to give it an edge.
Yeah, whatever, and I keep forgetting his name. He's doing a great job with that aspect.
Efrain.
Efrain.
Yeah. So that's coming along. We continue to work on the irrigation system with replacing of the nozzles and the fixing of the leaky heads. We're starting to work on eliminating the standing water, the puddling around greens, and we have begun raising some of the heads that are around certain greens that have a tendency to puddle. Also, what we have done is low-laying areas, so on. We're cutting drains. In particular, we're cutting drains between the tee boxes on number 2 and on the collar of number 12 green so the standing water can drain, not just sit there. And just move it. We use drainage tile, everything else, and we just move it. We cut a ditch long enough or deep enough to where it just slopes away and the water drains naturally. And then the grass will fill in and cover it up.
I got a question, Mike.
Sure.
That's looking good, but what's going on with our sand? Every time we play there, I mean, when I take a group out there, it's the first thing they ask is, are we playing the sand? And it's like, yeah, we play the sand, but they ask with reason, because a lot of times the sands are flooded, they're not tilled, or do we till them? You
No,
know,
we do
isn't there a rotor tiller that they use to, we don't, or there isn't, or?
No, we do not rototill them. We use a bunker rake, so to speak, it's a Sand Pro. It's a motorized vehicle that has tongs on the back of it, and we just drag it.
Yeah,
And then it smooths it out.
And it does look good, but I
It does
think
look good.
I think what maybe, Rudy, do you think that there's not enough sand when you go through? Is that what it is?
I'm
Because
not
you
sure.
hit-
Sometimes-
you
They
hit
don't
mud?
drain.
Are you hitting mud?
They're not
or-
draining good, or what?
They don't drain. There's no, again,
they
this
are-
was before, again, this was before my time. Either the drain, or there are either no drains
There
in
are
them.
drains.
And if there are drains, the drains are plugged.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because we're playing in the middle of the day, and, you know, it hasn't rained for weeks, and you
Exactly.
got water in that. How does that happen, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The drain's
The
plugged or
drains are
something?
plugged, and to get in there, so on, is removal of the sand. Basically, what it is a bunker renovation is what it
Right, it
basically
comes down.
amounts to. And I mentioned that earlier, and I mentioned that for the upcoming year, for this next fiscal year, is to start researching bunker renovation, so on, so we can have that in the plans for 2021. So on, not this upcoming fiscal year, but the following one, and get the sand trap complexes fixed the way they should.
Mr.
so
Chairman,
on.
if I may, I know many years ago, we had determined, whoever was in charge back then, that it was just not cost effective, and I guess a lot of the courses down here have the same issue with the sand.
Not really.
And, I mean, the
I don't
cost
know
eff-
about cost efficient,
co-
but
cost effective, so my thinking is, if you're gonna get a price on that, cause they had told us, we're gonna sacrifice some of these holes and make them into just have grass.
bunkers.
Oh, which
Grass.
are looking great, by the way.
Grass
I'm sorry I
bunkers.
interrupted.
So is that something that we continue with, or, because, I mean, that's what we were told back then, that it was a very expensive undertaking
There's
that it
only
would.
23 traps, I do believe, that are on the golf course. And some of them have already, you can tell some of them have already been kind of let fill in grass bunkers already.
But that was there before, no, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that when they were doing the reparation of the irrigation, I remember they put drains in the bunkers. No, when they were redoing the greens.
Greens,
Right.
That's what it was. And I was still here, I guess, and they were doing the greens, and so I know there's drains in those bunkers.
In the greens or the
No,
drains?
in the
the
bunkers.
sand.
Okay.
But he's
Well,
saying
I
they're
will-
plugged.
It's like,
Well, sí, pero, I mean, all you have to do is dig around and find and
I don't know.
cheaper, I mean, I don't know.
no, there's a little bit, you're right, partly right, there's a little bit more to it. What I can do is contact the gentleman that, when we were having problems with the greens, the gentleman that constructed the green complexes that
There you
came
go.
down, so on, he'd be the one to talk to. I've got his email address, his name escapes me right now, but I've got his email address, I can call him and find out exactly what kind of work was done to the bunker complexes, and then let you know.
Yeah, more or less how
next
much it'll
month
be,
or
so.
so on. And it is, like I said, it's a sizable amount to do, dollar-wise. But the new superintendent is going to edge them, and we'll end up putting some sand in the bunkers, but all we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. We're not fixing the problem, because the problem is the lack of drainage. But we can edge them and make them look better, and then we can add some sand to them and make the playability of them better short-term, but again, it's not fixing the problem.
So, Mr. Chairman, and how deep, I mean, you're a professional, how deep, when you go in the sand, do you expect a player to go so that you'd have enough sand, 5 inches?
4 or 5 inches.
Worth of sand?
5 to
I
6.
mean,
No, but that's not the issue. I would.
but
you
if
know
they
what?
rake it,
That
because
might
they
be
were
a good
raking it
option.
daily, they
The
were
ones
raking.
that
we
we
talked-
have the problem
excuse me.
with,
Go
maybe
ahead.
it's a good option just to lay grass on top of it. Is
Well-
it cheaper?
We've talked
Well,
about
it
this
is,
before,
but the
year
whole
after
thing
year.
is that-
This is not new. Year after year, we come across this.
Same problem.
As a matter of fact, when the winter Texans come, and they land you're talking about that, they land in the bunker,
Yeah.
they pull the ball out.
Yeah.
Can't do anything.
They don't play
They
the
do.
bunkers when they play in their
So
their
if we
couples.
can, and there's a,
Right.
But the idea is to play from the bunker.
Well,
The
the
idea
idea
is-
was
let's
brought
just
up.
say he comes back with a figure of $200,000.
Yeah.
He has to come back with an alternative, because that's a substantial amount of money.
That's what
Sure
I'm
it
saying.
is.
We could
Absolutely.
figure
So
out.
if you sacrifice half of those 23 and say, you know what, I think it's more feasible to do this, let's salvage some of them in the signature holes and have them set up that we can play them.
Correct.
You know, you can play off grass, people aren't gonna be pulling them out, you know, I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
That's an option, absolutely.
We've talked about the aesthetics of the grass versus the traps of sand. We've talked about leaving the valley. You get the sand from up north, right?
Yeah.
North of Corpus somewhere.
Yeah, North Corpus, San Antonio now.
Yeah, you get the sand, and you're always ordering sand. And then with the fact that we got the wind blowing. The wind's blowing the sand all the
We
time.
were told the
They're
wind
not-
was an obstacle.
Everybody
course.
down here has that issue. The
Yeah.
only course, we were
Erosion.
talking about that today, same subject, talking about it today, is the club down here that has the best sand traps again, so on, is McAllen Country Club. But they are also deep compared to other clubs. Now, if you want your sand to stay in there and not blow out, you give it some edging, and you
Further
get it
buckets,
deeper. The sand's not gonna blow out so much, and that's what happens there. Again, I know that one of the golf courses in the area, Palmview, is going through a bunker renovation right now. And so once that is complete, and I've already seen parts of it, I'll ask some questions about that. So on, but you're absolutely right. The Winter Texans have asked me that last year, And I told him, said, listen, it isn't on our radar, but it is a substantial amount of money, so on, so you have to, it's not gonna happen overnight. But what we can do in the interim is, quote unquote, put a Band-Aid on it, edge them, make them look better, add some sand to it, and just be prepared to maintain that through the period of time to help them play out of it. Again, once it rains, if it doesn't drain, again, we're gonna have to go back in there and add sand. And obviously, we'll have to pump the water out.
I
mean,
believe half of them.
sometimes, that's what we have to do.
The traps that were near the lakes had drained into the lakes. I think Gabe brought that up once. Some of those traps drain into the
I remember
the
that.
lakes, but not all of them.
Okay. There's some there that, correct, and like I said, that was before me. The best thing, the most logical thing to do is to call the gentleman that did the greens and did the bunkers when it was done, find out what he did, where he did it, and go from there, and see what he has to say. Then I can let you know next month when we meet what I found out, and at least we'll start talking about it, and it'll be on everybody's radar. Sound good?
Good.
Okay.
Give yourself a reminder, write it down so you won't forget it. Two things. One, Mike, I recommend two things. When you play, don't get into the sand trap. That's one.
Yeah, good point.
If you do, I don't. I play the greens all the time. I take a penalty shot. I'll get with Mike and get it out of there.
And one thing too, also gentlemen, is that we're kind of lucky in the sense to have Efrain, the new superintendent. He has renovated bunkers before, and he's done them from the bottom on up, we'll say, so he's familiar with what it takes. And he knows the people, so on, because at his last facility, he was involved in that directly, so.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, those grass bunkers, they're great, man. You can even putt out of them.
Well, yeah, you're talking about the collection areas we
Yeah,
made.
well, the collection
Yeah,
areas,
yeah.
but they used to be bunkers in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we've done, and we'll continue to do it here on the front side a little bit more, but the collection areas just add aesthetics to the whole, gives people different options. Not only now do you have the green, and beforehand it was green and then one cut around the green. Now with the collection areas, like you see on TV, it branches out in between the mounding, just creates a better aesthetic look when you're hitting the shot into the green. And if you miss it, now you have options.
Yeah.
Putt it, you can chip it, what have you, rather than chipping it.
Cool.
We sprayed the lake banks to keep the weed eating at a minimum and just keep it more manageable. The ant mounds have started to appear, so we've been treating the ant mounds with an insecticide. If you haven't played out there lately, we did trim the trees back on the left side of number 1. Trimmed them up because they're obviously hitting the golf cart roofs of both our carts and the private carts that were out there, and we're just trying to eliminate some possible damage to roofs, down the road. And we'll continue this as time permits. We already talked about the collection areas. The pre-emerge fertilizer for the roughs and the fairways have been ordered. This will take us through the winter months and help eliminate the cold weather weeds that we experienced last year. Fountain has been installed on number 18 pond, in case you haven't seen it. Got the fountain set up there. We're gonna hold off on the one on 15 because we still have electrical issues for the one out there on 15. We are replacing the 4-inch fairway yardage markers with 1.5-inch markers, properly color coded. We're sodding a few spots on the greens before the growing season comes to an end. This hot weather, continuing hand watering the hot spots. Bridge on 15 has been unsafe for golfers, so a plan is being developed to fix the bridge on number 15. And our time frame to have the greenside bunkers kind of cleaned and edged out is before the winter Texans begin arriving. Kind of gives them a time frame. The grass is growing still. We got a lot of growth going on out there, so the guys are busy, especially when they're trying to get things done in 105-degree temperature. They're to be commended. Clubhouse activities, we have no tournament scheduled for August. The two that we had last year, one got rescheduled and one is not happening because it was a campaign fundraiser last year. The marquee sign, put a big star by that one. The marquee sign on the entrance of South Cage is fixed. We got everything done there, so on, back to normal. Yeah, the one that got damaged, that's been damaged for a while, we got that all fixed up and looking close to what it was in its original state. And what I mean by that, just the color of beige that's there. And a bench plaque for past board member Eliseo Avendano is in, and we'll get that installed here before the end of the week. So other than that, gentlemen, that is your status report of the golf course and clubhouse, current status report.
On the flag for Cheo, you're gonna announce it to everybody, or you're gonna have a little ceremony, or it's gonna be,
I was leaving that up to you all.
you know,
We can plan a little
you set it
something.
up?
Yeah, I can set it up. Once it's done, we can have a little something out
Yeah.
there.
Well, may I have an idea. Mike, you know these people that were supposed to come down here and tell us about, give us ideas, and they're the owners of the Banded, Republic, and the Buckhorn. I get, I'm sure you do too, every other day you get an email saying that, they're gonna have this tournament, like this, the Cinco de Mayo, they had one, and then, the shootout for the White Wing one's coming up. They name it their own thing.
Then bomb it.
The bomb it, yeah, there you go. They name it, whatever it is, but they do one in the slowest months when they don't have a tournament.
I saw that.
Can we do that?
We can do that.
You know what I'm saying?
As a matter of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Take their ideas, because we didn't hear it. I don't know if they told you or whatever, but I'm seeing this coming up, and maybe take some of those ideas, and we should start doing that. Get a tournament like this. We don't have a tournament in August. Maybe we could have ran one, maybe
Oh, maybe we can
$50
still do it.
one, not a $300 one, not that's gonna,
Right.
something that at least attracts a couple of golfers on a slow month,
On a slow
to
summer.
make up for.
Yeah, that was, that is, and also part of, what I put down as far as my 2019 and 2020
Your
goals.
plan, your
goals-
personal goal, yeah.
Yeah, goals that for the golf course, for the Smitty.
Right.
The creation of a summer series.
Good, summer series.
One a month, on a Sunday afternoon, what have you, June, July, August, something like that. But yeah, summer series to where we do that. We don't do just one on one particular month. I'd like to do it, because it's summer months and we all know what it is, do one in June, July, and August, boom, boom.
Right.
During that, and that was put down as far as one of the things I'd like to accomplish in going forward in next fiscal year.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
totally up to you, but just, maybe throw us, the club, or you all, Tierra del Sol, run a tournament
Oh,
the way they
absolutely.
do it.
So to where basically 100% of what goes in
Stays in the club.
stays
And
in.
the prizes, let them come from the clubhouse,
Yeah,
and
sure.
all that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's really good. I saw that too. I saw that email that they put out. But yeah, the group you're talking about is Foresight.
Yeah, Foresight, they're the ones they came and, right?
Yes, sir.
And took a look at our stuff, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see how they raffle their stuff, to get it out there, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a great idea.
It is. And the thing is, I just wanted to expand on it because they do one a month at each one of their particular clubs.
Right.
So on.
They jump around, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, they don't spread it, they don't concentrate on one, so they don't, get overwhelmed.
That would increase the revenue for the
Oh,
12 months.
absolutely, no doubt. And
I
that's
would
kind of
say,
June,
if you
July.
do it on the Sundays, I would say before a Cowboy game, maybe
Exactly.
people get in there and watch the game
Do it
there
like-
and spend some money there, you know what I'm saying?
Especially in June, July, and August when there's no football going on, because everybody knows when school gets back in and football starts,
Right.
you're battling and losing
Yeah,
battle.
but let's say we were, the Cowboys were playing at 3:00, and you started your tournament at 11:30, and then you'd say, you can stay here, you know, you're gonna have hot dogs for $1.50 or whatever after your meal.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have a meal and then you can watch the Cowboys and spend a little more money. Something
Agreed.
like that.
Agreed.
I don't know.
Yeah, because, you know,
Good idea.
it seems to me the revenue is coming from the beer.
And the
No,
food,
you know,
yeah, and the
right?
food.
That's where we're making more
Majority of it
profit
is,
right
I'm not
now,
gonna
yeah.
deny that, majority, not,
Or
not,
that's where I spend
a
all my money.
substantial, put it this way, a substantial amount.
Yes. One more thing, Mike, could we do something about the people on the course? Cause it's getting really, really bad.
Yeah, it is.
Really, really,
I
the
had
past
to-
4 sundowners, I've encountered people. This last one, I counted 11
Did you?
with 4 dogs
Yeah.
and 11 people, you know, loose dogs. And I was gonna say, I know you have signs and all that, but it's not working. It's time that I think we need to reinforce by either making flyers, put them in the mailbox, and say, you're gonna get fined, because the signs are out there and nobody's respecting that at all.
I know.
And it, you know, when you talk about the integrity of the golf course, that just really, because I played, you know, on a couple the past month, and I haven't seen one. And every time we play over here, there's people on the course, you know?
That is agreed. I had to run a couple kids off the golf course just before I came over here, this evening. That is a function, you know, and again, that is a function of the
HOA.
Plantation Homeowners Association.
Well, yeah, it
It
is.
is.
Well, we
And
need
I
to get
understand
to
that.
But they can do something else. Then they've done it before. They have talked to the residents. They have sent out, notices, so on. But what I also encourage people to do and golfers to do is call the police. They're trespassing. They really are. They're out there with the dog. And again, some people may not want to take it to that degree. I get, but that is an option.
Yeah, but I'm guessing what
And then
you're
they
saying.
come
What I'm
to
saying
the golf
is,
course.
what I'm saying is spend a little bit of money from the advertising, budget and make a flyer, stick it in their mailbox, and let them know that from now on, because the signs are there and everybody knows, but from now on, you're gonna get fined, either $50 or whatever it is, or the police are gonna be called.
Sure.
And I guarantee you, you do it to one person, and it'll stop. It'll stop, because they know that it's not enforced and that we're not doing anything.
And we have, and you're talking back, and again, you're talking about holes back on the back 40 is what I'm thinking about.
It's always on the back.
Exactly,
It's always
11,
in the back,
12,
yeah.
11, 12, 13, or 12, 13,
But
14, 15.
those people come from all over. I mean,
Mike,
they just cut
Mike,
across, you
On
know,
the
and.
part 3, you know that little bridge?
Yep.
What is it? They were, we had a whole play because, people were standing there taking pictures.
Well, there you go.
How's that, you know?
Wedding.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know if it was quinceañera wedding or something, you know, which is okay, but no, we're
Yeah.
playing, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
we
great.
could, on a city letterhead from you to the HOA, and have the HOA put it in all of their, they
That's
gotta have
what's
a
gonna have
newsletter.
to happen.
They
We
have a
did that
newsletter.
before.
Because they know, somebody needs to get fined.
Yeah, that's what,
Somebody needs to
but
get
that's
fined.
what Rudy's saying. I mean, somebody's gotta have to pay for it and a flyer in every mailbox.
We'll
you
do
know,
it.
We'll do it.
Take it to the head
A
of the
little
HOA.
picture.
I'll bring it up again. I
Dogs
mean, we
and
went through this, I think my first year here. So when I met with them, and it would stop for a while, but sounds like it's obviously back, and
Like,
it
you
probably
got
hasn't even
bikes,
stopped.
You got all kinds of.
So, yeah, I'll reach out to the HOA again and see if there's
post it?
something that we
Can you
can,
post
something we can do.
Yeah, they have signs, but they don't respect the sign.
No, and a lot of them too, some of
Como
them will
dices
just,
tú, I mean, they need to find, you need to.
there's, the signs are coming
With the
off the
button
street or
also.
when you're crossing the street, and then
But they
a
cut
lot of, they
across,
come
they
out
cut
from the
across.
house, boom,
They cut
straight out from the
across.
house, yeah, absolutely.
I have a, remember Willingham has
I don't have anything to
Suggestion.
say.
a suggestion here, no, he wants a recommendation.
What
Okay,
is it?
Landmine.
That would work on me.
Yeah, that'll work quick.
On me.
Yeah, put a sign on it, stringing eyes and careful landmine.
Or maybe we could put a siren on the marshal's, cart, just a siren, and he can just,
But there's no marshals in the afternoon,
No
that's the
marshals
problem.
in the afternoon,
okay.
no, so, anyways, that was the, status report of the golf course operations, gentlemen.
Well, of all these suggestions and recommendations, I like the one you say you need to find somebody.
Yeah.
Teach them.
Yeah, if you do it to one,
They say, wow.
the word will get out quick, and believe me, it'll stop.
Yeah. Problem is that the fining part of it, so on, who handles the fining part? Is it through this, is it a function of us, the city, or is it a
it's a
function
city
of
ord-
the HOA?
It's a city ordinance.
City ordinance, so
That's
in
why you have to
reality,
call
it
the
would probably be
police.
code enforcement, not so much the police.
Okay.
So maybe you need to talk to code enforcement and tell them about the recurring problem, and it's been around forever.
It's a gated community.
And you're right, I don't think we've ever enforced it.
Yeah,
So, and somebody's gonna get hit, dog, I mean, they think it's a park.
yeah, agreed. No doubt.
Any other discussion?
No.
Any questions, Mike? Before we adjourn? Todo? We have a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir.
Villarreal.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Second by Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? O todos se quieren ir. We adjourn. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.